Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the ARCA Racing Series Rewind Show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below and hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. On today's edition of the ARCA Rewind, we're looking back at yesterday's General Tire Grabber 100 presented by Federated Auto Parts. 100 laps, 100 miles around the dirt track at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds in DuQuoin, Illinois. And if you're subscribed, you already know we were there. We had a great time chatting it up with everybody. It was a great race. So there was a lot of coverage that went up from this race, as there have been for every race we've been at. So if you missed out on that, like I said earlier, you got to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of that when we are live at the track and talking to your favorite driver. And if we're not talking to your favorite driver, let us know, and we will search them out at the track and get their thoughts from the weekend as well. We'll be at every one of the remaining 3 races on the ARCA schedule, so if you haven't heard from your favorite driver yet, you need to let us know, and we will talk to them when we are at the track. So let's go ahead and get into the results from the General Tire Grabber 100. Logan Seavey picks up his first career ARCA Racing Series victory. The kid that is known as quite the shoe on the dirt track ring, brought in for Springfield and DuQuoin by Venturini Motorsports to try and pick up a win on the dirt. Couldn't quite do it at Springfield. Had one of the fastest cars, had one of the best runs out there in Springfield, but came home in third. Picks up those extra 2 positions yesterday in DuQuoin and picks up the victory this time for, like I said, his first career ARCA Racing Series victory. Will Kimmel comes home with a very strong finish in the second position. Great job there by Will Kimmel. Came very close to wrestling the lead away from Logan Seavey on that final restart. Couldn't quite do it, though. Did come home in the second position, though. Riley Herbst with a strong third-place finish. Christian Eckes, your winner from Springfield. Last time we were on dirt, comes home in the 4th position. And Zane Smith, who had probably one of the most up-and-down days I have ever seen out of anyone in a race car, started out in the 7th position, had a good run going early, then started having some overheating problems. Seemed to be very similar to the overheating problems that he experienced in Springfield. This time, though, they weren't terminal, and he was able to stay out there. Was on and off pit road a bunch during this race. I'm pretty sure every caution, or at least most every caution, he came down pit road to try and alleviate those overheating problems. Stayed on the track, though, got the free pass at least once, maybe twice, and somehow fights his way back to a 5th-place finish, and even blew the engine with 2 laps to go, still came home with a 5th-place finish. So, an incredible run by Zane Smith, a great comeback. Kudos to Zane Smith on a great run there. Ryan Unzicker, we see him every time the ARCA Racing Series shows up on the dirt tracks at Springfield and DuQuoin, came home in the 6th place. And Kelly Kovsky, also the same thing. We see him usually every time ARCA shows up on dirt, 7th place there. Chase Purdy came home in the 8th position. Joe Cooksey, in what is tentatively supposed to be his final ARCA Racing Series event, came home in the 9th position in that 3-car for Hickson Motorsports. We talked to him after the race. If you haven't seen it already, go back and check that out. It was great talking to Joe. It actually has been our most popular interview from this weekend in terms of view count. So if you haven't seen it already, go back and check that out. And Sheldon Creed, who had probably the strongest car on the field and probably had the strongest run going, gets mired back in traffic late in the race and still manages a top 10 finish, but definitely 10th is not what Sheldon Creed was looking for in this race. 11th through 20th, we see Joe Graff Jr. down here. He had a very up and down day, mostly down, as he did spin a couple of times in the very early laps. I think the second caution for a spin from Joe Graff came about lap 33. And then just tried to fight his way back from there. Still ends up with an 11th place finish, though. Natalie Decker, very similar story for her on the day. Got caught up in 2, maybe even 3 wrecks on the day. Still manages a 12th place finish on the lead lap. Buck Stevens in the 06 car this week for Wayne Peterson Racing actually had a pretty good run going until late in the event. 14th place for Buck Stevens. Travis Braden had the lead late in the race. I believe we were under 50 laps to go. Travis Braden was leading this race. Then he got wrestled away by Logan Seavey when Seavey finally took the lead. And then Braden ends up in the wall in turn number 1, and that would be the end of the day for Travis Braden. Gus Dean out very early, only 26 laps into the event. He had a wreck very early in the race, and that would be the end of the day for Gus Dean. And then we see down here, final page, 21st, 21 cars in this field. Dick Doheny coming home in the 21st position. All right, so that's your results from the General Tire Grabber 100 presented by Federated Auto Parts from the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. And if you haven't seen it already, our post-race winner interview with Logan Seavey, that did go up shortly after the race finished. But if you haven't seen it yet, we're going to play it for you right now, and you will get to see what Logan had to say after picking up his first ARCA Racing Series victory. And continuing our post-race coverage from the General Tire Grabber 100, we're now joined by today's winner, Logan Seavey. Logan, it was a hot one out there today. It was hot just standing out here. I can't imagine how hot it was in the car.
Yeah, it was definitely a hot one. No, I'm not too used to running stock cars like that for somewhat of a long race, and I'm all open wheel stuff, and they're a lot cooler than these things. So I overheat pretty easy, but luckily. When you got a fast car, you try not to think about that stuff, and it hits you when you get out, but it just don't matter then. So fortunate enough that Craftsman and Toyota brought me an awesome race car, and teamed me up with Venturini Motorsports. They're so successful in the ARCA series. Today was their 50th win, so that's pretty big for them, and that's pretty cool to be the guy that wins number 50 for them. And they've been pretty successful on the dirt too. So just a good day all around. We actually struggled pretty bad in practice, and my crew really just worked hard to get my car turning, and by qualifying we were really, really good, and we had a really good car. We were able to pass fairly easily, which really made me know how good my race car was, because it's really tough to pass out there. And those first few laps when we drove by 5 or 6 cars, that gave me a lot of confidence in my race car, and you need confidence when you're driving these things. So overall, the pit stops were what won us the race. We had a car that could win, but to get in front of the 28, you had to beat him on pit road. So he was so good out front. Anybody that was going to get out front is going to be good. These things are so aero sensitive that you need that clean air, and when you get behind people, it's just so hard to run them down. So I was telling my crew chief the whole time, once we got to second, that we were the same speed, if not a little better, I thought, and we had to pass him on pit road. My pit crew did so good all day. We gained spots both times we pitted, and we actually blew a hole in the radiator there with about 15 to go, and the way these motors are worked up, that they kind of start killing power when they overheat, trying not to blow up, and luckily they do that, but it was making me nervous because I was slowing down a little bit, but we're sitting here in victory lane, so that's all that matters.
So this, at least tentatively right now, is your last stock car start. Does this make you want to maybe drive a few more stock car races?
Absolutely, yeah. I have a lot of fun driving these things. There's just so much to learn, and that's fun as a race car driver, to learn new things and go to new tracks and drive new race cars. So they're a lot of fun to drive, and hopefully I'll get some more. Yeah, like you said, I don't have any stock car races scheduled from here on out, so hopefully this changes that. And I really needed to win that race today, and luckily I had the best car and the best team that put me in position to win.
All right, Logan Seavey, today's winner of the General Tire Grabber 100. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at those points standings following DuQuoin, with 3 races remaining now in the 2018 season. Sheldon Creed still mightily in command of this points race, 210-point lead over his teammate Zane Smith. A very comfortable lead there for Sheldon Creed. Really no position changes this week whatsoever in the top 10. Some points battles have closed up, though, with Travis Braden's late problems. He's only now 5 points ahead of Chase Purdy. They're in that race for the 4th position. Riley Herbst not too far ahead of that either, 145 points up on Travis Braden. So he's got a fairly comfortable cushion on Braden, but one bad race out of Riley Herbst, and he's down in this battle as well, and this becomes a battle for 3rd. And then this battle between Gus Dean and Natalie Decker heating up as well, only 10 points separating them for that 6th position in points. Joe Graff kind of down here on his own, 205 points behind Natalie Decker. And then with Brett Holmes not making a start this week, he's now kind of down here on his own after missing, I believe that's 3 races now on the season, 585 points behind Joe Graff Jr. He's kind of down there on his own. Brad Smith, though, looking like he might possibly take that 9th position from Brett Holmes. Only 55 points separating Brett Holmes and Brad Smith now in the race for the 9th position. So definitely some battles going on here within the top 10. Really a battle for 4th between Braden and Purdy, a battle for 6th between Dean and Decker, and now a battle for 9th shaping up between Brett Holmes and Brad Smith. So there's a few battles in the top 10 that we can look at here going forward. But as Zane Smith told us a couple weeks ago, he has all but conceded the championship to Sheldon Creed at this point. He's just out looking for wins at this point because he doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't think he can make up those points, but it is going to be a challenge, as good as Sheldon Creed has been running, to make up 210 points in 3 races. It's going to take a pretty good amount of bad luck from Sheldon Creed, and you don't want to wish that on anybody, but that is probably what it's going to take if Zane Smith is going to get back into the championship picture in these final 3 races. So we'll see how that plays out going forward, but that is your point standings following DuQuoin, and I believe that will do it for us tonight on the ARCA Rewind show. So like I said, we did have a good amount of coverage go up from DuQuoin. We will be at Lucas Oil Raceway on Friday night for the Shore Lunch 200. So we'll be bringing you coverage from that event as well. And again, we'll be at every race for the rest of the season. We'll be at all 3 of the remaining races. We'll be at Lucas Oil Raceway Friday night, Salem next week, and Kansas in October. So if you're an ARCA Racing Series fan and you want to see more coverage from these races, we have you covered. And like I said in the beginning, if we haven't talked to your favorite driver at the track yet, let me know. I'm not opposed to talking to anybody. It's just ease of access and who's available to talk and when. But if you want to hear from somebody that we haven't talked to yet, let me know, and we will definitely seek them out and talk to them at the track. It's not a big deal at all. Most of these guys are extremely willing to give a couple minutes and talk to us. So not a big deal at all. If there's somebody you want to hear from and we haven't talked to them yet, definitely we will put them on our list and we will start talking to them going forward. But we did have a couple other Rewind shows go up this weekend as well. There was a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind for Darlington that went up Sunday night after the race. That was actually from our hotel in DuQuoin, so check that out if you haven't, if you are a NASCAR Cup Series fan, as well as an Xfinity Rewind that went up, I think that went up Sunday morning, no, that went up Saturday night, recapping the Xfinity race from Darlington on Saturday as well. So lots of stuff going up this weekend. Then we'll have pole position, recapping the entire weekend, all the NASCAR stuff, ARCA, IndyCar, F1. That'll go up later tonight. We had to push it back a little bit because of all this ARCA stuff happening and ARCA race being on Monday. That will go up later tonight, though, probably shortly after this goes up. So we'll have that go up as well tonight, and lots more going forward. Like I said, we'll be at Lucas Oil Raceway Friday, so if you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss anything going forward, especially our live coverage from the track at Lucas Oil Raceway and all of the remaining ARCA races. And if you like this video, hit that big thumbs up. It is much appreciated when you do. So with that, this has been the ARCA Racing Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.